Awesome. So this week's on quoting. So quoting's we've already kind of talked about it a little bit in the previous weeks, but quoting's obviously one of the biggest first impressions, right? Because guys will phone you up and then they'll ask you, hey, what kind of cranes do you have? I need this done. Can you give me a quote? So yeah, quoting, they can tell pretty quick. Are you organized? By your quote, they can tell, are there a bunch of hidden costs, or do you do half a quote and then they got to fill out the rest kind of thing. So we're working on quoting and quoting templates. So we want to, what do you kind of do for quoting right now?
Yeah, so I jumped on QuickBooks right away just because it
Yeah.
was like, hey, their advertising or whatever their worked. This was like bing, okay, that's just the first one that jumped out. And it's I mean I think I don't know if you guys use QuickBooks now, but we it's super easy to do, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, what I've done for mine anyways is like for a customer that I don't have in my database yet and I haven't worked for before to quote, I'll just
Yeah.
put them in as what like a cash sale and then I'll just
Okay.
put all their billing info, like that's the customer, and then I'll
Yeah.
put all the billing info, and that way they know it's theirs. And then I'll literally just be like, okay, this is how long I think this is going to take, And we don't do up here in the Okanagan, we don't do surcharges and stuff. It's just strictly by the hour. And
Yeah.
then if there's transportation involved, like transport only, then it's per mile. Unless it's hourly, unless it's 160 kilometers out. This is how we do it of radius, and then after 160, or if it's going to be farther, like we're running to Alberta or something, then I'll just do a per mile rate.
Yeah.
So, actually, I got a couple that I have to do, but a lot of times it's like, hey, what do you think it'll be doing for this? And because we do
Yeah.
so many little, like 2, 3, 4 hour jobs,
Yeah.
quoting's pretty easy, right? It's like, hey guys, unless something goes really south on site, it's
Yeah.
going to be 2 hours on site or less. So it's half hour of travel each way. Here's 3 hours. I can usually tell them over the phone. And
Yeah.
then if they want it in writing, then I'll just do it. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, yep, 3 hours at, we're 270 an hour for our 40 ton. And then it's like plus GST. Right. So
Yeah. Yeah. Because
relatively simple.
yeah, people like when they get the quotes, they don't like all these hidden costs, right? When they
Yeah.
start kind of adding up things. So it's good to be kind of upfront, or even if there are like hidden costs, like we do have fuel charges and stuff like that, like 10%. We'll post it in the quote. So it's all kind of layered out. Guys want to see what they're paying for, right? So
Totally.
that's a big one. And then, yeah, like how fast would you be at getting out a quote? Like you say, you kind of can do it over the phone most of the times.
Yeah, I mean, usually it's probably 60/40. Like a lot of homeowners will call me and be like, "Hey, how much is this going to be?" And then half the homeowners it's like, "Oh, great, that's awesome." Or half the homeowners go, "Holy crap, that's way too expensive." And then I don't have to worry about it. I mean, our minimum, like, for the 140 ton, we have, because we got the two, which is the one goes out for a little bit more than the other, but it's like a 575. Let's go 550 plus GST minimum, and then the other one's like a 600 plus GST minimum.
Yeah.
So it's like usually, oh, how long is it going to be to do a hot tub? Well, if it's in town, chances are it's going to be $600 plus GST,
Yeah.
and that'll take me a couple hours, right? So it's yeah, I think at least for me, because it's kind of a smaller deal in a smaller town, it may
Yeah.
be a little bit simpler that way.
Yeah, definitely.
But every once in a while, guys will like, hey, can I get that in writing? And then it's like, yeah, no problem. I'll just shoot it off on QuickBooks.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Because
it takes me 5 minutes.
QuickBooks, like they have the template, so you can set up a template, like you said, kind of a hot tub kind of thing, pretty generic. If you can just put a hot tub quote template together, and then just all you have to do is change the address and the person's name, kind of thing that you're sending it to an email.
Yeah.
But
I
the
mean, I don't
rest
even,
is the same, and then
yeah.
just bang it off, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't even do that. I just literally
Yeah.
just put, hey, because I have their name. Because what I do for lots of people is, and what I've said, I think you've said this before, is so
Yeah.
almost all of my customers, if they call me and ask me something or about this and such, I'll be like, hey, yeah, for sure, this is what I think it'll be. Can you just shoot me a text? Shoot
Yeah.
me it, and they'll shoot me a text within 5 minutes if they're serious, and then I'll be able to look at that text at the end of the day, make them a quote because
Yeah.
they'll text me their email, send them a quote, and then it goes from there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and for ours, it's just
Um,
yeah,
what do
time
you
together.
find as far as like the back and forth between that process of like they say, hey, they called you, and they're like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Can you get me a quote? Or like you said, just texting back and forth. Is it like a one and done? You got all the information you need, or is it like five to
It,
10 different texts to get all the
no, not
information.
usually. I try to keep it to a, I try and intentionally keep it to a
Yeah,
minimum. Like I don't converse with customers over text.
yeah,
I've got tons of repeat customers, tons of contractors. They know what I
yeah,
expect. I know what they're gonna give me, and so it's
yeah,
really quick. I mean, like some
yeah,
of my best customers will be like, well, they'll just I won't even talk to them because they know that if their site works, I know that they know their site works, and they'll
mhm,
text me, hey, yeah, truss is up at this house because maybe I've been there once or twice before.
yeah,
Um, Truss is up at this house on like Mark, one of my top framer guys, text me, yep, Truss is March 29th up on 8916 Crofton. Yep, no problem. See you then. Done.
yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah,
booked in,
yeah.
right?
You want to keep it short and sweet, right? So
Yeah.
like even with the quotes and the texting, like we do automated texting where it's like I write in like QU1 for like quote one, and that's a
Yeah.
template that I send out to, a customer that I'm picking up and then going to a site, doing the work, and then on like either offloading it or installing whatever we've brought to site and then kind of going back. So or for like a Q2 is for just like going and doing on-site work all day kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
So then that sends them a list of templated text of basically send me the pickup address, send me the PO, send me the job site address, send me what we're doing, what size crane you need. If you don't know what size crane you need, tell me what the reach is, what the weight is.
And those are automated. Those are automated text. Like those are quote on texts that you have.
Yeah, yeah. So we can show, I'll get kind of, we'll do that next week.
Oh, sweet.
So I literally just type in QU1 because I know that template and
Yeah.
what is required of it. So say for a quote with the pickup address, that's my number one. So I'll send that off and I just need to type in those three letters and then it'll send the actual template, which now has 10 different questions.
Yeah, and
And
that's sweet.
my customers know like, hey, I'm not going to give you a quote if you don't have all the information, right? Because like, especially, I don't know if it's the same up there, but down here, it's like they'll send you what they have and it's half the information. And then it's like, well, okay, I can't send you a actual quote because I don't know how many hours on site it's going to be. I don't know where the pickup address is. It's like I could be going to Burnaby or to
Yeah.
Whistler. It's like it's going to be two different
Yeah.
prices, right?
Yeah, you guys do. I remember you guys do a lot of like pickup and then
Yeah.
delivery, and we don't do that.
Yeah,
We get some stuff shipped to our yard where we
yeah,
store it, which
mhm,
is, I mean, that's kind of a whole nother animal because you're dealing with the shippers.
yeah.
But
Oh, right,
yeah,
yeah,
so we have like
this is
I've got like
fun.
a fork, like I've got, so it's a little bit, it's
Yeah,
kind of nice in one sense, but in the other sense, it's not because you
yeah,
don't really know when they're coming a lot of times.
yeah, yeah,
But it is nice because then you're guaranteed to get the job because the product's sitting at
yeah.
your yard. So
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So your templates would be more like, okay, site address, PO, because you're going to that site all day, right? And just kind of like how many hours, right? Because especially for booking in jobs where it's like, oh, usually it's like a log home, oh, we should be there all day. But then it's just like, oh no, we just have an entrance to do. So you're only there for two
yeah, it'd be
hours.
like
And
time
then
estimated time on site.
yeah,
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 exactly.
yeah, for
And
sure. That's a
that
big one.
way,
I find
oh,
that's a
for
big one.
sure, it's massive because if you butcher it, either your second job, you either can't do it because now you're stuck on that site all day and you thought
Or
it's
you've
just going
missed
to
out on
be,
work.
yeah, yeah, and you missed out on work, or you can't get your next job in time
Yeah,
because you didn't ask that. So it's good for them to say it to you so that you can give them the quote, but it also keeps them accountable, right? So
totally.
we're training ourselves with all these templates to now next week we're going to be more training our customers. Now that we're organized, we want to organize our customers so that we're efficient for them and that they're efficient for us and they know what we expect, right?
Yeah,
So like
for
this
sure.
week we just had to say basically we're not working for one of our customers. We've worked for like 8 years just because there's just been payment issues for, we've put up with it for 8 years and love the guys on site, we'll miss them but the office is, we have to end up doing their office work on top of
Really.
ours and
Yeah.
chase money. So for every job that we do, we spend, 5 to 10 hours extra
Yeah.
in office time, and we're paying for that, right? So it's just we got to the point where okay, we're
Yeah,
not
there's your
doing that.
profit, or at least eating into it. And it's like, well, I mean, especially if you
Exactly.
are, missing out on other work from other companies that are going to pay right up front. It's like, well,
Yeah.
and you know what? Yeah, and it sucks for them because now they're going to have to reinvent their wheel in the sense of,
Yeah.
well, they're going to have to go find another company. So I guess the ball's in their court. Either they smarten up and
Yeah.
keep using you guys, or they have to, you know, yeah, that's too
Exactly.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it is too bad, but it's like at the same time, it's like we got to cut our losses here, the headache, right? It's like, we've tailored our business to be efficient. Unfortunately, other people that are more disorganized don't mesh with that efficiency, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, well, we can make money by us being efficient. Why do we have to, lose money on you being, not efficient, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it,
That's
and it
that's one of
works
the
out
things.
in the end.
That's one of the things, and I'll look forward to this next week as well, just because. I
Yeah.
mean, so the whole, obviously, the business side of it's new to me, and it's like um, it comes and goes, but the amount of money that, like, having to chase money sucks,
Yeah.
like it really does, yeah, especially when you're not making a ton of money to begin with. It's like,
Yeah.
look, hey, that like I've got a $5,000, due invoice right now, and it's like, for me, that's a big check, like.
Yeah.
Like that's a big check. Like that's for one job. And it's like,
Yeah. Waiting
hey,
for it.
we need that money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
I mean, I know where
go
he lives,
saying that, so when you do a job like that, how many hours or days until you bill that customer?
so so until I send the invoice, it's usually the next morning.
Yeah.
And then depending on who it is, established or seemingly established contractors, and because again, it's Vernon, you see guys around, so
Yeah.
you hear about guys, and so I'm 30 days, yeah. And
Yeah.
then, but typically, like one-offs, like homeowners or whoever, it'll be like due on receipt type
Yeah.
thing. So it's like, hey, look, I don't know who you are. I've never worked for you. I probably will never work for you again. And usually the homeowners are really good. Usually it's like, hey, yeah,
Yeah.
no, send me the invoice. I'll get you paid right away.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of a nice balance. And then we have the odd, like a couple of customers that we work for every once in a while. They're like big corporations, and it's like 90 days, which is a pain in the butt, but is
Yeah.
what it is. So,
Because that's a big thing. Like every action that we do in our company says something about us, right? So guys that, do the job and then they bill, 3, 4 days later or a week later, that basically tells your customer you're not in a rush to get the money. If you're not in a rush to bill, they subconsciously, without saying it, they think, okay, he's in no rush to get paid. So it's
yeah,
like
that's
if
good.
somebody texts you, hey, can you do me this favor? And then 2 days later, you get this text with the details. You're not going to be like, okay, I'm on it right now. You're
Yeah.
like, well, it's obviously no rush. So I'll get to it when I'm done work or whenever I'm free, right? So they kind of, customers have that mindset too, right? Where it's just kind of a human thing. If you're on it, then they're more inclined to be on it too and pay you right away. So,
That's a good
um,
point. Yeah, that's because
yeah,
every once in a while I will get behind. Like I'll get a few days
yeah,
behind, but that's a good point because I try and do like I obviously do my own invoice, and I quite like it. I like doing my
yeah,
invoicing. I like seeing, hey, what is costing what. It lets me
yeah,
adjust my pricing if I need to and stuff.
yeah.
Like kind of on the fly. But like I usually do my invoices early in the morning, for the day before. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah, and
it's
that's
nice.
big, and it is like an encouragement to keep on it because it is. I know how it is. It's busy on the cranes this summer. You're working long days. The last thing you want to do is send an invoice. It's just kind of but it is super important. Same with quoting. It's fine when you're like the most compliments we get on our quoting is, oh, you guys were on it right away. Because guys are, if you think about it, your customer, when they're phoning you for a quote, they are making a quote up for their customer, right? So it's like
Yeah.
they need our service to complete their job. So they need our added cost to their quote. So if an office, and most of these guys are sales and office kind of guys, so they're working on this all day kind of thing. And maybe all week it's a big quote. If you're 2, 3 days before you kind of get back to them and get an accurate quote, they are sitting there kind of either stressed out or just kind of like, oh, I need to get this answer
It
right.
could leave a
Especially,
bad taste for sure.
For sure. And especially if you're bidding against other crane companies, if there's two or three quotes, half the time it's the first guy that gets a quote in, gets the job. Because it's like, hey, these guys are on it. They're organized. They're easy to work with. They're, when I phone them, half an hour later, the estimate was sent. That's why we want to get the templates going on QuickBooks so that it's just like, boom, this is a classic template. I just had to change the address, change the customer name, and send it off. And it's not a big deal, right? So,
Yeah,
and then we'll get more jobs that way, kind of thing. So, and also for the quoting, you want to make sure that you have like obviously your hourly rate on there and kind of all these disclaimers, right? So it's like if it goes over the 2 hour slot that we have kind of assigned, then it's additional, whatever it is, like 240 an hour extra after each hour. And then if you do charge overtime, you want that disclaimer on there. After 8 or 10 hours, we charge overtime and give that hourly rate for overtime, or say a rigger. You want all these different things listed, whether it's spreader bars or man baskets, any extra costs you kind of want on there so that they can, efficiently do their quote as well, right? So it's,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. So quoting's super important, and it'll get more important as you get more, cranes and more customers and bigger jobs and stuff like that, right?
for
So
sure. Yeah,
it's yeah, and you might kind of open yourself up to different industries that are more kind of like demanding on the quotes kind of thing.
yeah.
But yeah, so the billing's the same thing. We kind of talked about getting it out there early so that we can retain those customers and get them paying. But you also want to make it easy to pay. So what kind of payment do you guys take?
That's all through QuickBooks. Same deal.
Yeah,
We're e-transfer, credit card mostly. Some people and then EFT. If some people will request our EFT info, so I just have a copy of a picture of a void check in my phone. So I'll
yeah,
just shoot them a quick email, or obviously we do get checks still in the mail.
yeah, yeah. So do we, yeah.
So which is painful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Sometimes
Yeah.
I
Get
gotta and little Vernon here. It's like sometimes I get a text, "Hey, yeah, no, your check's ready for pickup." So I gotta
yeah,
go and get it out of the mailbox of the side of the office and
yeah,
stuff.
year
So
rounds.
yeah,
Yeah, we had
Jocelyn, my lovely wife, does that for me sometimes.
nice.
Yeah, no. So every which way, I'm finding lots of people pay with credit card.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
lots of
Credit
people.
card's huge because they get points, right? So it's like most people on their business credit cards take their vacation at the end of the year fully paid by their business on points or
Yeah,
cash back or whatever they do. So credit card's huge. And I know some companies shy away from it because they obviously ding you like that 3%. Um, so
I build it in myself.
yeah, yeah. So that's what we do too. It's just add it on. It's a margin, right? You just add that 3% on and
Yeah,
get it
and I mean
back.
it for me. It's and you probably think the same way. It's like again, okay, well, if a credit card is going to be the difference of me having to chase that customer down or not,
Yeah,
then I'll take I'll take a 3% hit all day
yeah,
long
for
than
sure.
to
Yeah,
spend 6 hours trying to get them to pay with e-transfer,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
yeah,
And e-transfer too is kind of hard to track because e-transfer sometimes, you get a random amount in, but it's not listed under like a business or like sometimes they don't say what bill it's for, like they
right.
don't match. Just so
Yeah, so I watch because I watch my email like again we're small but it's like okay I watch my email and I
yeah,
check it a half a dozen times a day or more and so it's like
yeah,
okay if I got an e-transfer then I go and I go and see okay what do I have outstanding and usually it'll say
yeah,
what like where it came from but you're right because one thing that's annoying with QuickBooks is that if the customer e-transfers you it doesn't link
yeah,
it to that invoice right
yeah,
so
yeah. So another thing to train your customer is like, hey, when you do invoice me on your bill on the e-transfer, kind of mention in the comment or whatever
the
that it's
invoice number.
for this bill, the bill
Yeah.
number kind of thing, or just your company or your name kind of thing, so I can match it. Because we have
Yeah.
issues in the past before we started doing that because we have so many minimums, right? So we go do an
They're all
AC
the same.
here and AC, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
all the same price.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, who paid who, and who paid the minimum on this one,
Yeah,
and
totally. No,
it can
I
get
have the
out of
same
hand
issue.
pretty quick.
Yeah. Hey, it's like my minimum with my minimum 40 ton is, and you guys are gonna cringe at this because this is just Vernon, but it's like, yeah, it's
Yeah,
603.44. Like
yeah,
that's, I know what it is, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
for 2 hours, right?
yeah.
So yeah, and every place, operates different, right? So it depends on the market kind of thing, which is fine. But yeah, even automatic sending out like automatic reminders too. If you are kind of chasing money quite a bit, we find having those kind of like a weekly reminder when they're past due for 30 days, as reminders. And then, if they're really bad, you might have to give them a call or show up at their place and just be like, hey, it's been a while. So
Yeah, no, I haven't had to do that yet. We'll see
yeah,
with this one I have. I'm not sure, but
yeah, yeah,
I'm not sure if this fellow will ever watch this, but if he does, it's like, hey, you know who you
yeah,
are.
yeah. Today's the day, pay your bill.
Yeah, yeah,
No, it is. And then like obviously don't rack up big bills, right? Where it's like, hey, you know, you've done a 10 grand job for somebody and they're, not paying, or, for us it's sometimes get even bigger than that. It's like, okay, well, we're done one third of the steel job, pay us, for that one third, before we go on to the next one.
well, and I
Because
mean
those,
it's capital intensive too. I mean, I've got a big one outstanding
yeah,
for me. It's 11 grand for, it was like just a little over a week or so, and
yeah,
I mean I'm regularly on that site. Like I'm going back there again tomorrow, so I think it's going to be okay. First time I've worked with him,
yeah,
but he's already paid one invoice, so I'm fairly
yeah, yeah,
and I mean, again, I have the guy, but that's a good point. Do you guys ever would take like a deposit from a
yeah.
customer that
Yeah,
you do? Okay.
absolutely. The thing, deposits are great in a way, but bad in a way. So if you take a deposit from a guy you're worried about not paying, he might just pay the deposit and not pay the bill, right? But for the most part, when you say deposit and a guy doesn't want to pay, he's gonna just kind of like, okay, no, I'm good, and hang up the phone, right?
Yeah.
So deposits are good. Another way is having their credit card for a new customer and saying, hey, we have your credit card on record, and then
That's
before
good.
we leave to do your job, we need your credit card. And for our first, and bill them the very first time through credit card.
Yeah.
And then if they're kind of sketched out to do that, that's a red flag for like, hey, do you not want to pay your first bill? Like, why is
Yeah.
it
No,
such a
that's a good
big
point.
deal, right?
Yeah.
So before the trucks leave the yard, if we don't have their credit card number, we're not leaving the yard, and we'll,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So it's kind of,
That's for everything, everybody hands down. Unless it's a EFT regular customer or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Every new
So
every
it's yeah, every new customer we never worked for, it's kind of, at least for the first job, we need to get paid by Visa. And if they struggle with that, it's kind of, there's red flags kind
Yeah.
of starting to pop up, right? That they're
Yeah.
kind of, him and no, I don't know, kind of things like that. So just to kind of be upfront with it, because we don't want to waste our time, we don't want to waste their time. It's just like, hey, it's a massive deal, let's just not do the job. Yeah, it just saves those bad payers. The red flags are there, and over the years of business, you'll kind of start to see the red flags. They're usually the ones that squeal the loudest at the beginning, especially when you kind of check them a little bit
Yeah.
on
That's
payment
fair.
before you go to the job.
Yeah.
They're usually the ones that get a little uptight pretty quick. So
Yeah, that's fair.
but yeah, yeah, just making like automatic payments and then turning those estimates into invoices. QuickBooks, it's a click of a button
It's
and
sweet.
it's done,
Yeah.
which is sweet. So it's like, because estimates, it almost feels like, hey, I can just do verbal ones, but it's going to get to a point where, like, especially if you expand to 3, 4, 5 cranes, verbal, you're just going to be so forgetful with all this
Yeah.
verbal stuff, right? So if we can make it templated and easy for you and click of a button and, and automated, that way you'll be more organized. You can send it out quicker. It's not as that intimidating, right? We want to kind of get away from that intimidating, oh, this is time consuming kind of fear of business to no, we already are prepared for this, and it's easy enough done, right? So
Yeah, and it got and it And it does come back to that efficiency side of things, right?
Yeah,
It's like, I could make a template and
yeah,
have that minimum click or whatever, or I could just type it in every single time. It's like, well,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, for
yeah,
efficiency's sake, which one is it, right? Or which one's
yeah,
better? Yeah, yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
And if you're saving yourself 5 minutes here and there, it's gonna add up, on your weekly, and hourly days, right? So definitely, we're all about basically systems and templates here and not repeating yourself, right? Because
Yeah.
it's those kind of that verbal in your head kind of stuff that it mentally wears you down and burns you out because it's all on you and in your head and we are forgetful. We're human, so there's going to be human error with remembering, right? So
Some of our brains are bigger than others, and that means it's the opposite too.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, so what I'll basically send you is a few templates to do
Sweet.
for QuickBooks to kind of get you more efficient on that as far as the billing and the estimates. And then next week we'll do more like training to get your customers in line with your efficiency. And then because honestly, like this week, I was doing steel out at that native reserve, and right away we're all like, I could tell these guys knew their stuff. It was the first time working for them. And I said, okay, like, what are we doing for orientation all day? Are we doing taglines on the south and west for our beams? And then I know what orientation it is, the rigger knows what orientation it is, and the installers know what it is, right? So it's like just by setting that ground rule right away, that saved 30 seconds here, 2 minutes there, and a bunch of yelling of which way does it go again and all this stuff, right? So the guys came at the end of the day and thanked me. It's like, oh man, I've never done that before. That was pretty sweet kind of trick, and we'll start
So
doing
what
that,
was it? You're
right?
just putting tag so that way you know which way it needs to go.
Yeah. So south, anything that's going north south for that day, we said the tagline will be on the south end.
Right.
So any beam line that's going north south, thankfully the building was not an angle. It was directly kind of
Well, you can
north
always do
south,
construct. You can always
basically.
do construction north, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So we did that, and then for the anything going west and east, the tagline was always on the west side
Nice. So you
all day
knew which way it
long.
had to be oriented as
Yeah.
soon as they put the tagline on it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it was
That's a
like
good
there's
trick.
obviously the steel guy running around with the plans, right?
Yeah.
And oh, we're picking up this beam, this post, he's rigging it up, kind of thing. He knows based on the plans. So then he basically lets me know, and then the installers know by putting the tagline on it
On on
and
on on either end.
on either end, and that
That's
way,
an awesome idea. I've never done
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. So it's one of those tricks. Once you start doing it, and once your customers start doing it, they'll thank you, right? And
Yeah.
it saves so much time. Like how many times does a guy up in the genie lift have to yell and get the
Which way
attention
does
of
it
the guy
go?
running around in the forklift, to be like, hey, which way are we going? It's what number is this and
Yeah.
all that stuff, right? And that's all time wasted. And that's why we find being efficient, even today at the tree job, the guys are like, that was a tricky tree job. But we knew it was going to be tricky. So we quoted sky high for it. And you guys quoted your top rate and we all made money. It was tricky. And even the homeowners like, yeah, you guys were the most expensive, but you guys were the only ones that showed up to site and said, hey, I can get a crane in here. All the other crane guys didn't even show up to site. And we're like, I don't know. We may have to do it on the road and get traffic control and
Yeah.
all that stuff, right? So yeah, basically a happy customer means years of future jobs and being able to be that top tier guy, right? That you can start charging those top tier rates for the cranes because you're in demand, right? So that's kind of our goal. So
Yeah.
we'll keep on working on it
Yeah.
and
Right on.
and it'll go good. And like